Coach of Kentucky's here, John Calipari. We're going to ask him to make a statement on his team about being here in Kansas City, and then we'll go to questions. John, please.
I just want to say, is PJ playing? Does anybody know here whether he's playing? I don't know. So we will see. That's my statement. No questions?
Very smart class. We'll start over here, and number 2 is on the aisle.
Coach, there has been so much talked about PJ. What has the last several days been like with getting the cast off mentally and physically for him?
I don't know. He was up here. I imagine you asked him, but somebody said he didn't practice yesterday. And they said, did you see him? Yeah, I saw him sitting on the sideline. I have not seen him run. He's been on a Ultra G, which takes his weight, lightens him up so that he can get used to running. Thank goodness the game is at 9. We have more time. It's the first time I'll ever say this. I wish it was at 10. But, greatest thing for him is the doc said you can't hurt yourself. And if that were the case, I wouldn't let him play. Doc said you're going to be in pain after the game if you do play. But, how much pain can you deal with? And he wants to play. Now it's, can he play? And we don't know. I mean, if anybody's guessing, we just don't know yet.
Nancy Armour, USA Today Sports. Following up on that, what will go into your decision about whether he plays or not, and how different of a team are you with PJ versus without?
Well, it's been a while since we had PJ and Reed. Like, Reed was out for almost 3 weeks. And then we played with Reed and he together for 2 games, and then PJ's been out for literally 2 weeks. So it'll be nice to have a full team, but this is what's happened. Fate has intervened sometimes in our lives, some of it good, some of it bad. And then you look at thinking this is bad, but it gave EJ and Nick a chance. When PJ went down, it gave us a chance to put Keldon at the 4, and it gave Jamal Baker a chance to play. So in the end of the day, maybe it helped us. But we're not, if anybody in this tournament right now takes their best player off the court, they're not going to be as good. I can spin it, you can spin it, you can say, well, take your best player off the court and let's play basketball. Like, we're not as good without him. There's just no question.
John, do you think he'll practice today? Is that the plan, or?
I didn't ask him. I kind of stay out of these decisions. Unless the doctor tells me he can hurt himself, then he wouldn't have a decision to make. If this one, you ask me how will I make a decision, it'll probably be him. And if he goes in and he's 80%, then I won't play him. If he goes in, he plays well, and he says, sub me, I'll sub him. He says, I'm ready to go, I'll put him back in.
Lane Higgins, The Wall Street Journal. You mentioned a little bit about how you've been playing with a lineup in the absence of PJ and Reed over the last few weeks, but now that Reed is back, how has he and other members of the team stepped up during the first 2 games of the tournament?
Well, part of our deal was to let's survive so PJ gets a chance to play. This is an important time for all these kids. Like, I don't take that lightly, and I understand, and I respect these kids. What they go through in this tournament, at this time, with the social media, with what's at stake for them individually, the clutter they hear, this stuff is hard. And so we're out there, the last 2 games, we started 4 freshmen and made it even tougher. But, I think that they survived, and now he gets a chance to perform. Because he hadn't played for a couple weeks, people may forget how good he is. He's an All-American. But in the interim, Reed has done well. So now all of a sudden Reed has stepped up his game and the physicalness that he plays with. And then EJ played 11 rebounds one game, and Nick's blocking shots, and Jamal Baker comes in and plays his butt off, and, you know, all of a sudden, you know, we become a little different. Let me just say this. Knowing Calvin for as long as I have, what he's done with the program, the culture that he's created, if you don't respect, one, his players are really good. Obviously, you know he can coach. They defend, they rebound, they share, they can shoot threes. If you don't respect them, you're losing, whether it's us or anybody else. I'm amazed. 10, 12, 13 years ago, we were going to Houston to play. To see it where it is now, I mean, it's incredible what he's done. And they're players. I mean, they're not afraid. They have a swagger about them. They play with unbelievable energy. They defend like crazy, and they rebound. Every basketball, they attempt to rebound. So it's going to be a hard game for us to win with PJ or without PJ.
Cal, one other PJ question. How much of this is a balancing between knowing he probably does want to play and wanting to win this game, and also knowing that if you're going to make it further, you probably want or need him to be healthy?
If he's at 80% and I see it, I probably won't. I'll say, hey, man, let's just wait. We'll figure out if we can do this without you. If he's terrific, I mean, what I did with Reed, I asked Reed, how many minutes did I play you when you came back? He played 15, 18 minutes. If PJ plays more than that, I would be stunned, surprised. If he doesn't play at all, I would not be surprised. So we'll just have to see.
Got a question here. We have two on the aisle, then we'll come back here. Go.
Coach K. Carlton, South Boston News Record. You're one of 4 SEC teams that have made it to the Sweet 16. How much does that speak to kind of the competitiveness in the conference?
Well, let me go back to this too. Vanderbilt lost their best player, who they were building around, is going to be a top 7, 8, 10 pick in the draft. Missouri lost their big guy early in the year. He would have also been a top 10, 12 pick in the draft. Those are two teams that slid because of those injuries. When you talk about that on top of the 7 teams that made it, and maybe one more could have, every game was a war. There were no easy games in our league for any team, which is why we benefited now. I like to say that when you're at Kentucky, a lot of times teams have nothing to lose when they play you. Not a thing to lose. You're at our place, they don't think, nothing to lose. The greatest thing, and we have everything to lose. If we lose a game, oh my goodness. If we lose a home game, they got a list of who the next coach is going to be. That's one of these 6 guys. So I say that in this tournament, what's good for everyone has something to lose. Well, we have nothing to. Oh yeah, you do. Your season ends. We're all in the same boat, and hopefully, again, our team understands how good, how well coached, how balanced, how deep Houston is, or it'll be us going home.
We are halfway through the session. We have next 2 questions are here. Third is here. Fourth is here. Go.
Hi, John. John Huang, NOLA Media. This is your 10th year as head basketball coach.
70th. Dog years at Kentucky. 7 times 10 is 70.
During that time, you've had 8 Sweet 16s. I guess that's 56 Sweet 16s. Not bad, but you've talked throughout this year about players coming to Kentucky and getting better. I assume that you think you're a better coach now than when you first appeared on campus. How has being the head coach of the University of Kentucky made you a better basketball coach?
Well, let me. Can I filibuster this one?
Sure. It's your time.
Thank you. Here's what's changed for me personally. That first year, I knew John Wall would leave. I mean, he was that good. But I didn't know who else would go. But I told John Wall, don't you leave here by yourself. You take people with you. He took 4 other first-rounders with him. And I was like, what just happened? And so then everybody got mad, and you can't do this way. And then we had another group come in, took us to a Final Four, and those 4 left. Brandon Knight, that crew. And then we have 3 freshmen start the next year in a brand new team, and we win a national title. What it does when you're changing teams like this, it keeps you curious. You have to be. You have to look and say, how do we play with this team? What drills do we use? Do we invent new drills? We're doing things with this team that we've never done with any other team because we had to. It does keep you younger. There's no lesson plan year to year. It's all new. And then the other thing at Kentucky, it keeps you on your toes based on the fact that there's an expectation you win every single game by 20. And if you're not winning every single game by 20, something is wrong. And if you're into reading all the stuff or listening to the people in the seats, you'll be up there with them shortly. It's a different deal. I told this team, you guys have given me years back on my life coaching you. This team. Now, I've had others that have added years to my life, okay? But it's not this team. This team they've tried, they listen, they're gym rats. If I go in the office at 10:30 at night, they're still in there. I'll have 4 guys in there. Like, I'll open my, what are you doing? So it's, but here you better adapt to your team, and you better figure out defensively, and, how do you play offensively? Like, no one knows, because I don't know until we start and we get through a season.
We have satellite time for 3 more questions. Go ahead.
Coach Todd Lebo, Sports Radio 810 here in Kansas City. It's been a lot of the kind of underside of college basketball exposed here in the last year and a half or so with some of these investigations and wiretaps. What are your thoughts about where the sport is health-wise, and for some of the things that have been kind of brought out, what can be done to fix some of those things?
Some of the stuff that is out there, I will say that you knew there's stuff that was going on, but you're surprised by some of it. But I think it's a cleansing. If you're going to do something now, you're going to get on a phone or you're going to go meet with somebody and you're going to try to do something, you either got some chutzpah or you're really stupid. Like stupid. So I think it should be a cleansing, and I think the NCAA now gets a chance to say, how do we deal with this stuff? And they can clean the slate and start all over.
Coach, Gentry Estes from the Courier-Journal in Louisville. How much of your team's growth this year from start till now, in your opinion, has had to do with Ashton Hagans and the role he's played both ends? He's changed who we are.
He shoots it better than ever. Look, tomorrow they're not playing him. They are going to trap the post and leave Ashton. I'm telling you, he can shoot. How can a guy shoot 85% from the free throw line and then not shoot as well from the floor? I don't get it, and I'm telling him, it's mental. Get in the gym. Now, he was in the gym because he started making shots in practice, and I'm like, you been in the gym? And they're all laughing. Yeah, he's been over here 10:30 at night knowing when I get shots, I'm making them in this game. His defense, his ability to physically get by people and create for his teammates, he's made us different. But Tyler Hero's really good. Like, he is really good. Brad Stevens and I were talking, and he told his young son what he was most impressed with Tyler. He gave up his offense to guard McGee and have to run around with McGee and gave up his offense. And he was 2 for 11. He couldn't make a shot, but he made 2 free throws because he's got a will to win. Keldon, as a young player. Johnson, another one physically able to go and do the things. But again, when you look at this team, the bench, Emmanuel Quickly, Jamal Baker, I mean, those guys are vital for us. They got to keep the music going. Like when they go in, keep the music going, man. You're shutting off the radio. Come on, keep the music going. You got to you can't come in and turn it over for a layup down there, a wide open 3 shooting air. You got to keep it going. And you know what? They're capable of that. So it's not just Ashton, but I'll be honest with you, he changed who we were.
Final question, quickly. Thank you.
John, Eric Olson with the Associated Press. Kind of a big picture question. Some talk about the NBA one and done rule going away maybe in 2-3 years. I guess how would you go about building a roster if that were to occur?
Well, you have to understand, only since I've been here have I not coached juniors and seniors. First of all, I would love to coach juniors. I'm coaching Reed. He and I have political talks. Like, we talk about stuff. Like having an older player, come on. But I think what will happen is, let's see how it unfolds. Are they trying to build the G League? Is that why they're doing this? In other words, let's get 40 kids to come in and only 5 are going to be able to be in the NBA. We'll take the other 30 and we'll put them in the G League. Is that where they're going with this, where they, again, I think when you diminish anything about education with young people, it's a mistake for our society. I think kids should go right to the NBA. But there's probably 5 or 6 or 7 that are ready to do that, and even half of those will probably spend time in the G League. But to take 30 that could get an education, that could go on and do things, if they don't make it at basketball, big. Now, all I can tell you, I don't know how it'll play out, but we'll try to be first in whatever we're doing. We took a grad student this year from a Power 5. Kind of worked for us and him. It worked. Would we take another? Yeah, if it was the right one, and we thought he could help himself and us. If I thought we were just getting a bench player, I wouldn't do it. Like, if I'm getting somebody that's going to be a practice player, wouldn't do it to the kid. Wouldn't do it. But whatever it is, our plan would be, let's be first. Let's be first to do it, and everybody will follow and do what we're doing.
John, thank you very much. Best of luck.
Thanks.